Oh, hey, Angeli.
Oh, hey, Nate. I didn't see you there. How are you?
I'm doing good. What are you doing?
I'm just cooking because I just got off work and I'm a little hungry. Food is the most important thing in our lives. It has shown us, like the evolution of our diet. And on top of that, it's important to be sure that we feed ourselves. So, as you may know, we're college students, so our life is like super duper busy. But I try to get my nutrients in as much as I can. However, I've seen that some of my friends have been trying to do this thing called the Paleo diet.
What's the Paleo diet?
So I've heard that the Paleo diet is like a way to try and get back to our roots. And what that means is pretty much you can't eat grains, dairy, or anything processed.
Is that healthy for you?
Not necessarily. It's important to get all of the nutrients that your body needs to be sure that you are healthy and happy, to be sure that you do well in school and in life around you. Thanks for helping me cook, Nate.
No problem. So let me actually talk about the Paleo diet even more. And so the Paleo diet actually encourages you to eat unprocessed meat, not just meat, but foods that are not really accessible to everyone. Also, they also discourage you from eating foods that are high in artificial sweeteners and even a lot of sugar, like brownies, cakes, and even ice cream.
That sucks.
I know. But let me tell you a fun fact about diet and how that affects our anatomy. And so our great ape-like ancestors, they actually had a diet that consisted of low quality rough foods that was very hard for our mouths to chew and are just hard for our bodies to process. And so through selective pressures and evolution, they had bigger bones. However, once we developed into a more balanced diet with the controlled use of fire and tools, we were able to process our foods much better because we were able to break them down quicker. Thus, with our selective pressures, our bones also changed. Let me give you a quick sneak peek of the bone room to show you how much our bones have actually changed.
I'm Eliza, and this is the bone room. Today I'm going to talk about the skull and how it changed. To start out, we'll start with what we know. Humans. As you can see, the face is very flat, and the brain case, where obviously the brain is housed, comes above the face and loops around, sitting behind. If you look at the bottom of the skull, you see the foramen magnum, which connects the skull to the spinal cord, allowing for bipedal locomotion. This is actually how you tell bipedal locomotion from quadrupedal, which would have the foramen magnum at the back of the skull. And knuckle walkers, such as gorillas or chimpanzees, have the foramen magnum somewhere in the middle. Human. Chimpanzee. As you can see, the chimpanzee face is much farther forward and has two pronounced ridges for more muscular attachment. The foramen magnum, as I said, is between where it would be on humans and quadrupeds. The teeth are large, made for chewing through bark and meat that is raw. This is what our ancestors most likely looked like. Moving forward, we have the step between. As you can see, there is still no forehead, just the brain case behind the face. And the face still protrudes outward, unlike a human where it is more flat. But the foramen magnum has moved to the back. Noting, once more, bipedal locomotion. The way you can tell how large a brain usually is by how large the brain case is, but also the development of our different portions of the brain by how it falls, such as where it rises, where it is flat here behind the face, where more face than brain. On humans, more brain than face. You can see the difference. Humans, our face is smaller than our brain case because, well, we've got the largest brain size in comparison to our body mass. Now, my colleague Nate will be talking about how our musculature and teeth shrunk and why that would be. On to you, Nate.
Thank you, Eliza. And now I'll be talking about the jaw between humans, chimps, and our ape-like ancestors. And so first, we'll start off with the humans. So for humans, we have a smaller mandible and smaller teeth. While for chimpanzees, they have a larger jaw, larger teeth, as well as more pronounced canines. And so the reason why chimps have a larger mandible and larger teeth was because of the diet that they had in the past. And so chimps, what they ate were mostly berries, plants, leaves, and the occasional raw meat, which was much more harder to chew. Therefore, with the selective pressures, they had to have a larger mandible in order to process those tough meats. Next, we have Paranthropus boise, which is similar to our ape-like ancestors. And here they have more flatter teeth. However, they're still much larger because of the diet that they had in the past, which mostly consisted of barks and other tough plants or vegetables. Therefore, again, with the selective pressures, they needed this larger teeth, larger mandible in order to break down their foods properly. Two other methods used in order to reconstruct diet in the past is stable carbon and nitrogen isotope dating. Carbon isotope dating is used to identify plants, while stable nitrogen isotope dating was used to identify more animal products, more meat products. And so in the literature, what we found was that there was actually signs of plants in the diets of our ancestors, which all this just disproves the whole idea that in the past our ancestors mostly consumed meat products, which the modern conceived paleo diet is mostly consisting of more meat, more eggs, and more fish, which was not really the main type of source that our ancestors had access to. They had more access to more game meat, which was more tough to chew, and therefore they needed to have the larger teeth and larger mandible in order to process those types of foods. And so next I have Eliza talk about the domestication of milk-producing animals as well as egg-bearing animals.
Thank you, Nate. Now, the Paleolithic. It took place between 800,000 years ago, all the way to 10,000 years ago. The first animal to be domesticated was about here. And it wasn't meat like farm animals, it was dogs. Actually, this meat-heavy diet, the paleo diet, would have been quite difficult at this time. The first domestication of animals that we consider farm animals would have happened here, at the end of the Paleolithic, 10,000 years ago, to the beginning of the Mesolithic. First sheep, then goats, pigs, cows, and actually this diet, which includes fish and fowl were not domesticated until the Neolithic period. So as you can see, the meat that they would have been eating is very different than the meat we have today. There was no grocery store, fatty cow. It was game meat they had to hunt. Something much more akin to deer than the pork you get for your Sunday roast. The actuality is, it also wasn't as reliable as just going down to the store. If they had to hunt, there was never a guarantee you'd come back with something. They much more relied on things that they could forage, such as vegetables or berries. And actually, some of the meat they got even might have been the leftover that was not considered healthy by other animals. The paleo diet, which is mostly meat-focused, is not the Paleolithic diet. It's a diet we constructed to fit our own ideals, one that we think is easier.
Actually, Nate, here is a pretty balanced diet. I like to make this after like a long day of studying or, coming back home from work. It has the proper carbohydrates that we need, the protein from the eggs and from the pork, some seaweed, which was not super expensive, a corn, and some spring onions. It was actually really, really cheap to make this. In all, it cost me about $10. So enjoy!